How are we doing, guys? And welcome back to All East V. Yeah, incredibly frustrating. It's 24 hours on, and I'm still massively frustrated with it. Coventry 2, Leeds 1. And listen, I want to first of all say it's been a very, very strong season from us up to now. Very strong season. We've come back from a lot, and we've shown great resilience this season. But this season, if we're being totally honest with ourselves, and this is what we need to be at this stage of the season, we need to be honest with ourselves because there's no hiding place at this stage of the season. We've got to up our game for this season to have the ending that it probably deserves, which is promotion. We have to up our game from what we've shown in the last couple of weeks. You know, this isn't just a blip, this result. We haven't been good for quite a while now. You know, I think we have been in second gear for quite a number of weeks, really, to be totally honest with you. And many might disagree with that. The results have still been, very, very good. There's no question about that. But there's no doubt since the international break, especially, we've seen a drop off. We're conceding goals now. We're not getting the results. 4 points from the last three. Listen, in the grand scheme of things, it's not that bad, but the standards are incredibly high this season. That's the reality. Any other season, we'd be promoted at this point. It sums up Leeds United's look, doesn't it? This is an incredibly high quality championship season, and we've got to show high quality to make the top two, if we don't make the top two, to win the playoffs. The playoffs are looking quite competitive as well. Listen, top two is still on, no doubt about it. Top two is still on. I still think we can do it. I still really do think we can do it, and there's no reason to doubt that at all. We're only a point behind. Let's just keep that in perspective. We're only a point behind. But we need to wake up. There's no question about that. We do need to wake up. One win from the last four away. Our home form, I've got no question about us at all. I think we've been excellent all season at home. Away form, maybe a little bit less consistent, but I think certainly since the start of 2024, our away form has been as good as our home form. And I don't want to be overcritical. I really don't want to be overcritical, but pretty much since Chelsea in the Cup, I don't think we've played well, to be honest, since Chelsea in the Cup. I can't lie to you. I will never lie to you on this channel. And you guys know me. I've been doing this with All East TV now, I think 6 years now. It's very rare for me to go into this tone, to speak in this tone. I am worried at this moment in time. I can't lie to you guys. I am worried at this moment in time. But perspective is still key. We're still only a point down on Ipswich. Ipswich lost yesterday. Ipswich were pretty poor yesterday in the game against Norwich. We were probably, as much as we weren't great yesterday, we probably still looked better than what Ipswich did yesterday. So that's obviously maybe it's a bit of a coping mechanism, but all is not lost. All is not lost. That is very clear. But the balance doesn't look quite right at this moment in time. It feels like changes are needed. We do need to maybe freshen things up just to get a reaction. And listen, there's been a lot of calling out of individuals. I don't need to name the individuals. We all know who the individuals are, but that is absolute nonsense for me. Absolute nonsense to be calling out individuals for the form we're on. As a collective, we haven't been great, for a couple of weeks now, especially since the international break. As I said, conceding goals now, not really showing much control in games. Really Watford, Hull, and yesterday, we've not really had our foot on the ball and dictated the tempo, dictated the play, and looks like the team that's pushing for the top two. We look equals to these teams at this moment in time, Watford, Hull, and Coventry. And I don't think we are equals. I think we are better than these teams. I'm not questioning that for 1 minute before people start saying, oh, we're no better than Watford. I'm not saying that at all. But in those 90 minutes, we didn't look better than Watford. We didn't look better than Hull. And we didn't look better than Coventry. It is a concern. You can't just put it down to one result. We do need to emphasise that. Things do need to improve in that kind of regard. And as people will say in the comments, it's our first defeat since December 2023, 30th of December 2023. But we can't keep going back to that. We have to look at the here and now. You're only as good, really, as your last couple of results. That is the reality of the Championship. We've seen it with Leicester, we've seen it with Southampton, we've seen it with Ipswich, how one or two bad results can soon spiral. And the other way of looking at it as well, you can soon bounce back. Ipswich has shown that as well. They've bounced back, quickly from the defeats. We've bounced back quickly from our defeats all season. And the next two are key at home against teams we should be beating. We should be beating Sunderland. We should be beating Blackburn. And what we need in those games is wins and convincing wins, just to really, really build that confidence. And I still think the confidence is there. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to do this video and sound like I'm overreacting. because I still think top 2 is definitely on, but we do need to step it up from what it's been the last 3 or 4 games. And people might disagree with me on that, but even if you look at the games we've won, Millwall aside, where I think we were dominant pretty much from minute 1 to 90, the other games have been quite tough to get through. And listen, at this stage of the season, they are going to be tough to get through. But when it's happening week after week after week, we do need to step it up a little bit. I think the thing for me yesterday is a defeat at Coventry in isolation. It's one of those things. Coventry are a good team. Let's not take anything away from Coventry at all. Listen, I didn't particularly like, the tactics they used yesterday in terms of frustrating us. Quite aggressive. But listen, I'm not going to moan about that. That's a championship. That is the way teams are going to play against us because we've got high quality players. I'm not going to moan about that. Coventry are a good team. They are a very good team. And we're seeing Leicester get beat there. I think Ipswich has still got to go to Coventry. I think Southampton dropped points there as well. So Coventry are a team to be looked at, especially in the top 6. If they do get into the playoffs, very, very good teams to be looking at Coventry at this moment in time. They have obviously got experience at this end of the table, at this stage of the season as well. The goals we conceded yesterday weren't great, let's be honest. We shouldn't be conceding goals like that. And that's the other thing as well. I think it's just the fact that it was an opportunity to close in on Ipswich. The goals we conceded weren't great. We didn't have great control in the game. It's just a cocktail of bad emotions at this moment in time. But what I do want to say as well is this team is absolutely not bottling it. I don't feel that is the case at all. I think this is a resilient team. And I think that the evidence has been there all season. Hull on Monday night. How much resilience do we show in that to win the game? We were under the cough for large periods of that game. Watford, one of our worst away performances, probably our worst performance of the whole season, if I'm being honest, for most of it. We showed the resilience to get a point. We could have even won that game towards the end. Resilience is definitely there. We showed resilience yesterday to come back into the game and had the chances to get it back to 2-2. I thought the second half performance was much better. There is resilience in this team. We are not bottling it at all. The balance just isn't quite right at this moment in time. The midfield, we're not able to control the game midfield like we were at the start of 2024, which is probably our biggest strength, was in Gruev and Kamara controlling the tempo. These players haven't become bad players overnight. No one in that team has become a bad player overnight at all. All this kind of theory, I just can't get on board with. I think it's just a combination of things, really. But ultimately, we just need to get the balance right. I think we have got the tools there to get top 2. I don't think there's any gaping holes in the team where you're thinking, we haven't got number 10, we haven't got a striker, we haven't got this and that. We have got all the resources we need to get promoted this season. For me, we definitely do. I don't think it's a case of that either. We're lacking in certain areas. We have got more than enough to get top 2 for me. Is it a case of starting Joseph? Is it a case of, sticking with Bamford? Is it a case of getting Gray into midfield, Roberts to right back and trying, natural fullbacks to provide the width and push up the pitch, on both sides, like Firpo does on the left? Do we need a bit more of that on the right and put Archie into midfield? Do we need to get Ampadu into midfield? I'm not really sure at this moment in time what the full answer is, because I actually thought with Gruev coming back, we'd be back to our top levels. But ultimately, that's maybe what worries me a little bit more, was the fact that Gruev maybe a little bit rushed back in. Who knows? We didn't have that control midfield, despite having Gruev in there, to control things. That's what I think it is. Probably only 1 or 2 changes. Listen, after that West Brom game on the 30th of December, Farke only made 1 or 2 changes from that game, and we went on an absolute monster run. This took us all the way to this point. We clawed back a 17-point deficit. Let's not get too carried away, but we do need to get back to those levels. There's no question about it. We aren't at those levels at this moment in time. Around January, February, we were pretty faultless. Not just in terms of results, in terms of the performance. It never felt to me like in any of those games we were ever going to drop points. We were in complete control. And it is out of character, the mistakes we made defensively. I'm no concerned about us defensively. I think we have got the best defence in the league. I think we've got the best defender in the league in Joe Rodon. And I've got great faith in Daniel Farke to make the changes, because he has all season. When the Perot yeah, it's a long distant memory, this, but when we had the Perot number 10, Rutter number 9 experiment, Farke called that off pretty quickly when the results dropped off. Where we tried Jed Spence at left back and tried to get quite a creative team on the pitch with maybe not a lot of physical power and pace. Farke called that off quickly as well. Around December into January. I've got great faith for the third time he'll make the right changes, and I do believe those changes will come. I only think it's 1 or 2 changes we need just to change the balance up a little bit, whether it's Gray in midfield, Ampadu in midfield, a natural right back at right back, trying to change something up top. I'm not saying there's nothing glaring I'm looking at and thinking we desperately need to change that, but I just think we need to freshen something up a little bit. And I just think that will see us through for the last 5 or 6 games. Hopefully, a final 5 or 6 games. No playoffs or anything like that. But yeah, blaming individuals and saying we're bottling it, I totally disagree with. I don't think there's any evidence of that. I just think as a team, a collective, we haven't been good enough, pretty much a couple of weeks before the international break and a couple of weeks after. We maybe got away with it a little bit before the international break. Stoke at home, you look back at that game, Melier, bailed us out a little bit that night. Sheffield Wednesday away, we got that goal for half time, and it wasn't a good first half in that game. Millwall, to be fair, dominating that game, but Watford, Hull, Coventry, there was obviously signs that we weren't fully at it in those games. And we've come back from 17 points back. Let's not waste this now. Let's not waste this now at all. But I've got great faith that we won't, because we've got a manager who's been in this situation twice before. Great experience. We've got an experienced team, and I think we've got the tools to get us promoted this time around. I really do believe that. I don't think we're lacking. It's just about making the right changes, freshening things up, rotating in the right areas, and getting the right balance. Farke's trying to get that right balance. Listen, we're seeing Ampadu go into midfield against Watford. We're seeing Archie Gray have a period in midfield against Hull. We tried something up in the second half yesterday with Archie going into midfield and Roberts going to right back. And people might think I'm exaggerating, but it's clear that Daniel Farke is seeing things in a similar way. We do need to change things up a little bit and freshen things up, because he's making those changes to try and do that, but not quite finding the right balance yet. But he will do for me. I do think he will find that balance. It's a punch in the face, there's no question about it, but it's about how we react now. And that's what it's all about. We'll probably have another disappointment, between now and the end of the season. Hopefully not at the end of the season, but between now and the end of the season, we might have another result where it doesn't quite go for us. But I think Ipswich will as well. I think Leicester might as well. I think Leicester probably... It was a big one psychologically, that for Leicester yesterday, no question about it. And it was a blow for us in Ipswich. And Ipswich, I'll emphasise that as well, and Ipswich. It's not just us who had a disappointment yesterday. They lost to the local rivals. But we've got to bounce back. We need to see control and to be the protagonist in the game against Sunderland and Blackburn. Really emphasise our quality in those games. And I think we will. I really do. I think we have this season, and there's no reason to think that we won't on Tuesday or Saturday. We're not bottling it for me at this moment in time. I really don't see it as that. I just think performance-wise, we need to find that next gear. And I think Farke is trying to find that, and I think we will find that. Anyway, guys, that's I wouldn't say a rant, but it's just quite a frank discussion, I think that was. It's not like me to do videos like this. As I say, it's not like me to do videos like this. And the only reason I'm doing it is because I am genuinely concerned at this moment in time. But I still believe in this Leeds team. We are resilient. We've come back from 17 points back. We can do this. I still believe we can do this. Anyway, guys, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the like button as well. Sunderland coming up in a couple of days' time. Plenty of content around that game. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I've been Oscar. Let us know your thoughts on the game. Am I talking loads of nonsense? Probably am. We'll leave it there anyway, guys. Cheers for watching anyway, and leave your comments too, guys.